Hello, Algebra 2 folks, and welcome to Solving Rational Equations. This is day 2. Yesterday we did 2 fractions. Today we are going to have 3 or more fractions that are involved. You need your own notes, a pen or a pencil, and we will get started. All right, so what's the missing number? Well, I'm sure you all know that the missing number is 4. Why is it 4? Okay, what's the lowest common denominator? 7. So if the lowest common denominator is 7, if I multiply each one of these by 7, and I say that's x, okay, multiply each one of these by 7, the 7's cancel, and I'm left with 1. The 7's cancel, and I'm left with x. The 7's cancel, and that will equal 5. I subtract 1 from both sides, and I know x is going to be 4. Now, the whole idea is that I know you know the answer is 4, because I know you know that 1 plus 4 is 5. But the whole idea with solving when you have fractions is to find that lowest common denominator and multiply everything by it so that the denominator goes away. All right, so let's do some Algebra 2 type problems. Okay, example number 1. I need to find the lowest common denominator. So of the whole thing, of every single one of these fractions. So fraction number 1. What are the factors of fraction number 1? 2. What are the factors of fraction number 2? X. Oops, I didn't mean to put that right underneath there. Erase that a little bit here. X. What are the factors of the fraction number 3? Also X. So the LCD is 2x. So I'm going to multiply everything by 2x. If I multiply everything by 2x, then hopefully I can get rid of my denominators. So 2x times 1 is 2x over 2. Those 2's can cancel out. I can either write it 2x over 2 and then cancel it and leave it with an x, or I can cancel it out right away. I like to cancel them out right away. This x cancels with that x. So then I get 2 times 2 is 4. This x cancels with that x. And I get 1 times 2 is 2. Now my problem says x plus 4 equals 2. What's the answer? Well, subtract 4. X equals negative 2. Now, remember, friends don't let friends divide by, oh yeah, you got it, 0. So if I plug a negative 2 back up into this problem, will I get a 0? No. So the answer is negative 2. Okay, let's try that one again. Try another one. Okay, the first thing you need to do is find the lowest common denominator for each one of these fractions. Okay, fraction number 1, lowest common, or all the factors of fraction 1. Will that be x plus 1? Fractions, or factors of second fraction. X squared minus 1, well that factors into x minus 1 and x plus 1. So x plus 1 goes here, x minus 1 goes there, and then, ooh, that's 2 over 1. So for number 3, it's a 1. Do I need to write a 1 there? No, I don't. So what is the lowest common denominator? X plus 1, x minus 1. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take every single one of those fractions and we are going to multiply it by the lowest common denominator. So we're going to multiply this guy by the lowest common denominator. What happens to the x plus 1's? They cancel. What do I have left? X minus 1 times 3x. So 3x times x minus 1. I can go ahead and multiply that through. That's 3x squared minus 3x. Multiply this one by the lowest common denominator. Well, that turns into these two, and those two are the exact same, so this cancels with that. There's no denominator there. It's going to equal 12. I'm going to just bring that 12 down. I'm going to multiply this guy by the lowest common denominator. Does anything cancel? X minus 1, x plus 1, canceling with a 1? No. So I need to distribute all of this. So that would be 2 times x, which would be 2x, 2 times negative 1, which would be negative 2, and then I have to multiply that by x plus 1. Okay, double distribute. I get 2x squared plus 2x minus 2x minus 2. Now look at this. I have no denominators and only numerators. And since I only have numerators, this is where I want to be. Now I look at it and say, is it a linear problem or a squared problem? It looks like it's going to be a squared problem. I got some squareds in here. That means I have to set this equal to 0. So I got to get everything on one side. All right. So I'm going to subtract 2x squared from both sides. I'm going to get x squared. I'm going to, 2x and negative 2x cancel out. And then 12 minus 2 is 10. So this is x squared minus 3x equals 10. I'm going to subtract 10 on both sides. I get x squared minus 3x minus 10 equals 0. And now that I have a set equal to 0, I can find two factors of negative 10 that make negative 3. That would be x minus 5 and x plus 2. Set them both equal to 0, and my solutions would be 5 and negative 2. Now what I do is I plug them back up into the denominator and make sure my friends aren't dividing by 0. So when I put a 5 in there, I get a 6. When I put a 5 in here, I get 24. When I put a negative 2 in there, I get a negative 1. When I put a negative 2 in there, I get a 3. I didn't get any zeros. So both of these work. Okay, so they're both my solutions. All right, let's try example number 3. Okay, finding the lowest common denominator. Fraction number 1. Well, it's a 1, so I don't need to write that because it's over 1. Fraction number 2, x minus 5. Fraction number 3, x. My lowest common denominator is x minus 5 times x. I meant to make that red. So this is my lowest common denominator. So I'm going to multiply each one of these by x minus 5 and x. Everybody is multiplied by the lowest common denominator, so my denominators will go away. Okay? So what happens here? Nothing cancels, so I'm going to take 1 times all of this. Well, that's x squared minus 5x. Okay? This guy cancels with this guy, and negative 8 times x would be negative 8x. And this x cancels with that x, so that would give me equaling 3x minus 15. I got an x squared. I'm going to go ahead and get everything on one side and set it equal to 0. That's x squared minus 8. No, not 8x there. I have negative 13x equals 3x minus 15. Now I'm going to go ahead and subtract the 3x from both sides. I get x squared minus 16x equals negative 15. Add 15 to both sides. I get x squared minus 16x plus 15 equals 0. So plus 15 equals 0. Two factors of 15 that make 16 would be negative 15 and negative 1. The solutions would be 15 and positive 1. If I plug a 15 in there, do I get 0? Nope. If I plug the 1 in there, do I get 0? Nope. So those would be my two solutions of my problem. Okay, let's do one more. So one more. Here we go. Example number 4. I got to find my lowest common denominator. Fraction number 1, x plus 1. Fraction number 2, 2 and an x. 2 and an x. Fraction number 3, an x. All right, so remember, those are being multiplied, so they're factors, so we split those up. So my lowest common denominator in this problem would be 2 times x plus 1. That's a big one. All right, here we go. So we got to multiply this by 2x times x plus 1. The x plus 1's cancel, and 2x times 3x is 6x squared. Got to multiply this guy by the lowest common denominator. The 2 and the x cancel. The 2 and the x cancel. 6 times x plus 1 would be 6x plus 6. Multiply this guy by 2x times x plus 1. Oh, here we go. The x cancels with that x, so I'm left with 7 times 2, which would be 14. 14 times x plus 1. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and multiply that through. 14x plus 14. And now I'm going to get everything on one side again because I have an x squared. So subtract the 14, I'm going to get 6x squared minus 8x. Subtract the 14, and I'm going to get negative 8 equals 0. Awesome. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to factor this. Looks like I can take out a 2x. So I'm going to take out a 2x, and I'm going to have 3x squared minus 4x minus 4. And now I'm going to factor this guy by using the AC method. So if I use the AC method, I will take 3 times negative 4 is negative 12. 2 factors of negative 12, that make 4. I would say negative 6 and 2. Okay, put them in my squares. I got 3x squared minus 6x plus 2x minus 4, 3x, 2x, negative 2. So my factors are 2x, x minus 2, and 3x plus 2. Okay, now what do you have to do? You have to set each one of them equal to 0 and solve. How many solutions do I have this time? Oops, did I mess up here? I can't take an x out of there. Sorry, I did mess up there. I should have 2 solutions, right? Because I had an x squared, not an x cubed. Didn't mean to take that x out there. Erase, erase, erase. I didn't take an x out. I only took a 2 out. All right, there. Whew. Now I'm saved by the bell. Okay, now this is not a solution because it doesn't have an x on it. Okay, so that doesn't get included in our solutions. It's just a factor. What are our 2 solutions? Our 2 solutions are 2 and negative 2/3. All right, when I plug those back in there, do any of them give me a 0 on the bottom? No, I do not believe so. So those would be my 2 solutions. All right, everything would work. Sorry about that. Didn't mean to take an x. This guy doesn't have an x, therefore I can't take an x out. All right, so we are using the lowest common denominator to get rid of the denominator, because once we get rid of that denominator, we can solve. All right, thank you for taking good notes, and we will be back to try some more of these again tomorrow.